Dragon Ball changed the world, to the point that its main character, Son Goku, became an archetype that many use as the basis for the protagonists of their works. An incredibly good-natured, friendly, adventure-seeking young boy or man with fairly low mental and/or social intelligence who loves to sleep and eat, but spends most of his time working hard to achieve an extraordinary goal, whether it is to be the most powerful in the universe, become the king of the pirates, or win the Pokemon League. This archetype is used a lot in shonen, but we can find examples in many other works. Today, we will see it in Kingdom Hearts. We can find many similarities between Son Goku and Sora. Both are good people, both are idiots, both have an impossible goal, both believe in the power of friendship, but just as Goku has surprising depth in some moments, Sora is a much deeper character than most remember. Truth be told, I'm not surprised either. Not only do the games spend many hours on Sora just goofing around, they also have multiple protagonists, most with more interesting personal dilemmas, making Sora seem simple in comparison. Let's not waste any more time and return to what it all began. Kingdom Hearts 1 did something incredibly interesting with Sora that no one talks about. We have a normal kid, so normal that when Riku starts a slightly deeper conversation, his only response is to say, I don't know, and take a nap.
I always wondered why we're here, on this island. If there are any other worlds out there, why did we end up on this one? And suppose there are other worlds, then ours is just a little piece of something much greater. So, we could have just as easily ended up somewhere else, right?
I don't know.
He also has another very important normal kid thing. He likes a girl and doesn't know what to do. Sora presents himself as calm and friendly, but when he's alone with Kairi, he gets nervous. Obviously, Kairi 100% knows that Sora likes her and she uses it to have a few laughs.
Sora, let's take the raft and go. Just the two of us.
Huh?
Just kidding.
Poor Sora, not having the courage to say what he feels, settles for, upon finding a drawing Kairi and him did as children, drawing himself giving a palpu to Kairi, symbol of togetherness. This relatively normal existence changes when not only is Sora forcibly taken to another world, he is chosen by a mystical weapon, the Keyblade. As the key bearer, it is now his duty to safeguard the universe from the Heartless. But Sora doesn't care. He just wants to find his friends and return home. He's forced to make an alliance with Donald and Goofy, the only ones with the means and the will to travel between worlds. The next 4 levels are perfect to show Sora's personality and his attitude towards this huge change in his life. In Wonderland, we see his kindness in not hesitating to help Alice, and his stupidity in doing so without thinking of a plan. In Deep Jungle, we see how his friendship with Donald and Goofy is still flimsy. They have a fight at the beginning of the world and it takes them the whole level to make peace. In Olympus Coliseum, we see Sora's arrogance, a very important part of his personality that has been forgotten.
What's so funny? I fought a bunch of monsters.
At this point, Sora is still a beginner when it comes to fighting and adventuring, but he had an inferiority complex. He thought he was worse than Riku in every way.
You know, I always figured I was better at stuff than you.
Really?
Are you mad?
No. I kinda always thought you were better at everything, too.
But now that he's the chosen wielder of the Keyblade, he sees himself able to make up for that insecurity. But, as it usually happens with these things when you're not careful, he overdoes it, and ends up being arrogant. Even at the end, when he goes to save Hercules from Cerberus, he doesn't do it to save someone, but to prove that he is a hero. However, when Phil names him Junior Hero, he accepts it. If you do the tournaments, you visit this world a total of 4 times. Each time, you see how Sora gets closer and closer to understanding what it is to be a hero. The last of these worlds is the second visit to Traverse Town. The meeting between Sora and Riku is very important because Riku realizes that he no longer has the same natural leadership he had with Sora. Literally, Riku says, "Leave it to me," and Sora, who wasn't even listening, saving him from Heartless, says, "Leave it to who?" It's excellent. The funny thing is that just as Sora felt inferior to Riku, Riku felt inferior to Sora.
He said back there about thinking I was better at stuff than you. To tell you the truth, Sora, I was jealous of you.
What for?
I wished I could live life the way you do. Just following my heart.
And this scene is what makes this feeling of inferiority turn into spite and anger, sending Riku down the dark path he travels in this installment. It's also striking that when Sora is told that the Keyblade is the only thing that can protect the worlds from the Heartless by sealing the keyholes, therefore, he is the only hero that can save the worlds, he shows doubt. But when that role could give him a benefit, he takes advantage of it, another sign of his arrogance. The fallen worlds don't do as much to give Sora personality, but they do have their details. Riku thinks he'll be able to sacrifice Pinocchio to save Kairi. To him, sacrificing a stranger who may not even be alive to begin with to save his friend is a good deal. But Sora stops him. He'll save Kairi, but not by hurting someone else. All the trouble in Halloween Town starts because Sora doesn't respect his responsibilities as the chosen wielder of the Keyblade. He uses his powers for shits and giggles and it drives the Heartless insane. Again, arrogance. In Atlantica, King Triton has to tell him to his face that he has a weapon that gives him great power. Power that can bring salvation or catastrophe. And Sora looks at his blade like a dumbass, like, I never thought about it even though I've been told about 8 times! In Hollow Bastion, 2 high points of the franchise occur. The first, when Riku reveals himself to be the true chosen wielder of the Keyblade and snatches it from Sora. Sora seems to give up and, well, of course he does. Not only does this seemingly prove what he always believed, that Riku is better than him in everything, but he's lost the one thing that got him this far, the Keyblade and its powers. But thanks to Beast, Sora remembers that he didn't come here to be a hero. He came here to save Kairi.
There's your problem right there. You can't think about saving the whole world. You have to think about saving one person, Miles. You just think about someone you love.
Me too. I'm not gonna give up now. I came here to find someone very important to me.
At this point, Sora has learned a lot, and that learning leads him to be capable of something impossible. Without the Keyblade, he ascends through the Heartless-infested castle. The spells and skills he has learned are his own, separate from the Keyblade. The humility and courage he has learned cause him to gain an ally immediately, and he catches up to Riku. Seeing that he has managed to overcome a great challenge without the Keyblade and that his friend, in search of power, has fallen into darkness, Sora realizes why he has really made it this far. Sora was a normal kid, is a normal kid, but every world, every ally has taught him something. Every friend has given him a new power. That's the lesson Kingdom Hearts is trying to teach, that there is strength in unity. Not just because of the union itself, but because the union gives strength to the individual. That is what it means. My friends are my power.
Although my heart may be weak, it's not alone. It's grown with each new experience, and it's found a home with all the friends I've made. I've become part of their heart just as they become part of mine. And if they think of me now and then, if they don't forget me, then our hearts will be one. I don't need a weapon. My friends are my power.
It is this very moment when Sora truly becomes a hero. Even better, this moment becomes ironic in the future. As we continue the franchise, we see many chosen wielders of the Keyblade, but they are all chosen by circumstances beyond them. Riku is a chosen one because Terra performed the inheritance ceremony. Sora was not a chosen one, but that moment causes what has only happened once in the entire franchise. A Keyblade changes allegiance from one to another. At the same time, Sora is the only one who was not chosen by the Keyblade, and is the only one chosen by the Keyblade. Sora's personality doesn't change much from this point, so there's not that much to talk about. He shows his kindness and heroism once again when he sacrifices himself for Kairi. and finally sees being the chosen one of the Keyblade for what it is, a responsibility. Before, he wished to go to other worlds, but the journey to the final world presents itself as a duty. Now what he wants is to return home to Kairi, represented by their lucky charm.
With great power comes great responsibility.
By the way, I love this scene. As you see the change in Sora, he's not nervous anymore. In fact, he's so calm that he casually drops that Kairi would be a hindrance in the battles to come, which I don't see the Sora from the beginning of the game able to say. His experiences make him realize that there is no such thing as ultimate evil, nothing, and no one has only darkness within them. So he knows what will be the first thing that Ansem will encounter when he opens the final door.
Supreme darkness!
You're wrong. I know now, without a doubt. Kingdom Hearts is light.
Although Sora manages to save the universe, he fails in his original goal, to reunite with his friends. Riku and King Mickey are trapped in the realm of darkness. Sora still can return home, so he practically confesses to Kairi how he feels before being separated again. And we end with Kairi finding the drawing Sora made at the beginning of the game. Just as Sora likes Kairi, Kairi has always liked Sora. That's why she asks him at the beginning to never change.
Sora, don't ever change.
Huh?
And this drawing shows that despite everything that happened, there is something that has not changed in Sora, from the beginning to the end, that he loves her. So Kairi responds by drawing herself sharing the Power Pool, and on top of that she draws it bigger, like, you love me? Well, fuck you, I love you more! Cinema! This is the part where I will talk about Chain of Memories, but I'm not going to do that, mainly because Sora forgets everything that happened in that game, so it's not worth much for the current discussion. I'll just highlight how this game shows the one thing that could defeat Sora after he becomes a hero, manipulation, but it's not something we're going to see much of either, so on to the next one. Continuing the comparison with Dragon Ball Z did something very clever. The first series was the story of Son Goku, from inexperienced child to a powerful, intelligent young adult who is about to get married. All of his character development has already happened, so the next series, Z, despite still having Goku as the main character, put the emotional and dramatic centers on Gohan and Vegeta. Dragon Ball Z really is the story of these two. Kingdom Hearts 2 does the exact same thing. Sora has already had his journey and has already proven himself. So story and character development wise, the focus is on Riku and Roxas. In fact, even the game itself makes fun of how little Sora knows of the narrative around him, especially in this scene, where Sora clearly has no idea what's going on.
But when we did, we might not recognize each other. Understand? I see myself the way you remember me. And you see yourself the way I remember you. Look sharp.
Huh? Don't worry.
But this doesn't mean he has no personality. I love how Sora acts in Pirates of the Caribbean. At first he is enamored with the idea of the free-sailing pirate. Halfway through he is disappointed that all the pirates, both allies and enemies, are liars and conmen. And at the end, he shows he is not as dumb as he seems when Sora himself pulls off a con. On the second visit, Jack Sparrow makes a deal. He will help, only if after that, Sora gives him his Keyblade. To everyone's surprise, Sora accepts. When the conflict has been resolved, Sora gives Jack the Keyblade, which quickly returns to Sora's hands because as it has a will of its own, it only allows Sora, his chosen one, to wield it, something Jack didn't know. Look at him, and we thought he was a dumbass. We're not going to talk about Roxas and Riku in depth, they deserve a full video each, so let's just comment in terms of how they affect Sora. Roxas is the concept of sacrifice, but not when you choose to sacrifice yourself, when you're forced to. Sora has never had any problem sacrificing himself for others, nor he will in the future, but he does have a problem with others sacrificing themselves for him. Roxas' life is one of the entire universe telling him that he doesn't matter. Not just because he's a nobody, but because he's the other half of someone much more important. Sora. Up until the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora won't wake up until Roxas merges with him, which is treated as a death. Roxas has to die for Sora to live, and everyone chooses Sora. Riku chooses Sora. This chooses Sora. Even Xion, in a way, chooses Sora. Again, showing kindness and heroism. The only one who doesn't choose Sora is Sora.
This could have been the other way around. Huh? But it really has to be you.
No. Roxas, you're you. We're not the same. I wanted to tell you that. That you deserve as much as I do to be your own person.
Sora, see? That's why it has to be you.
I love this moment. Sora is the first to tell Roxas that he has value as a person and shouldn't sacrifice himself for him. It's cinema! As for Riku, this game and Chain of Memories remark on how he's very distraught about what he's done. Good! Because your inferiority complex almost causes the destruction of the universe, so you should feel like shit a little bit. But this leads him to hide in the shadows, ashamed of what he's done, and the handsome form he acquired to get more power, although this time he used that power to save Sora instead of trying to hurt him. Chain of Memories gave us this scene, where Zexion tricks Riku by using an illusion of Sora. Riku thinks it's possible that Sora would try to kill him for what he's done, but it's nothing further from the truth. Ever since he was possessed by Ansem, Sora tried to save him, and after showing redemption, all Sora wants is to be reunited with his friend. The game, cleverly, instead of ending with a battle against Xemnas, it ends with a last conversation between these two best friends. They talk about the insecurities that led them to make bad decisions and to see that those insecurities were never real. Finally, Sora, Riku, and Kairi are back together again, happy, but making it clear that we got here because of Roxas and Naminé's sacrifice. The following games, Days and Birth by Asleep, have other main characters, but even so, Birth by Asleep has one of the most important scenes for Sora, blank points. If and only if you play through the entire game, you unlock the secret ending. Roxas, Naminé, Xion, Terra, Ventus, and Aqua are 6 heroes who, instead of seeing their goodness and heroism rewarded, have been punished and are suffering, particularly Aqua, who has been alone in the realm of darkness for a decade. But after that decade, she finally meets someone, Ansem the Wise, who reveals that in that decade, a new hero has appeared. In this metaphorical sequence, we see the fallen heroes calling out to Sora.
What's this boy's name?
His name is...
Sora.
Sora.
Aqua, in particular, cries a tear as she learns that the kindness of a child has become the kindness of a hero who has saved the universe. And maybe that same kindness will save her too.
Sora.
I got goosebumps. I can't watch this scene without getting emotional. And from there we go to Recode It. But dude, how do you go from this amazing scene to the worst Kingdom Hearts game about a digital Sora killing bugs in a matrix of Jiminy Cricket's journal? Yeah, I know. But that's how this script turned out, okay? Story-wise, the game is a mess. But the ending sequence has always seemed very underrated to me. It deals with something interesting. What's the worst thing you can do to Sora, to someone who claims that his friends are his power? Especially when he claims that no matter how far apart they are, they will always be together. Well, the worst thing you can do is to make him forget those friends, make him feel alone. The final world of Recoded is a test for this data Sora. In this Castle of Oblivion, you must overcome several tests. In each one, you will make friends, but when you leave, you will forget everything. You will only remember that you have forgotten. After passing all the tests, the one in charge, a Data Roxas, demands an answer. Now that Sora has forgotten everything and everyone and is left with only pain, what is he going to do? Sora answers, nothing. Continue. Roxas debates that this is a strategy doomed to failure. Trying to continue with pain will cause it to drag you into the darkness. But Sora says, nah. His thought is, if I have the pain of having forgotten, then I haven't forgotten everything. The pain is proof that I once had something that hurts to lose. That pain is a real connection. Of course, this angers Data Roxas, who is built from the real Roxas, who lost a loved one and couldn't bear the pain.
The darkness will take you first.
If I put the hurt aside, I'll lose my ties to all the people I care about. My mind's made up. I may end up falling into the darkness, but I'll carry this with me. I'll only get rid of it when I remember everything, and not a day sooner than that. I'll keep the hurt with me for the time being. It's all that I have. It's what holds the pieces in place. I accept that.
You say you accept it? It's not a game! It's way past time that you learned what real hurt feels like!
After the battle, we hear the end of Sora's argument. I'm not going to try to explain it, it's better to just listen to it.
That you're an illusion, but you certainly pack a really big punch. You said that you'd show me hurt, and you weren't wrong. Actually, the hurt that I just felt was more than that. Sure, it might have hurt while we were fighting, but I sensed a different kind of hurt from you. Almost like it was my own. As if we'd been connected. Like right then we shared the same hurt. If somehow it brings me closer to people in that kind of way, then carrying around a little hurt can't be all that bad.
That is something surprisingly profound, depressing, and hopeful at the same time for a game that spent 90% of its plot on nonsense. Friendships and connections with others are powerful, but they can also bring pain with them. That Sora argues that this pain should be accepted as it is proof of the value of such connections. It's a simple but powerful philosophy. I love it, and it's why I think this game should not be ignored. And we have arrived to the end of the journey. we're faced with a dilemma. If Kingdom Hearts 1 focused on Sora, and the sequel focused on Riku and Roxas, what the hell do we do now? Especially since, being the end of the Xehanort arc, we want to refocus it on Sora, whose hero's journey is complete. You can say it was done better or worse, but what they did was continue the idea of blank points, of showing Sora as this beacon of hope that those who are lost can turn to. This means that, again, like in Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora doesn't have much to do in the Disney worlds, but the ending shows this concept brilliantly. I'm not talking about the Keyblade graveyard sequence where everyone dies. That one is terribly, poorly done. We're not going to talk about that. I'm talking about how Sora is responsible for rescuing each and every one of the heroes at least once. He saves Riku from Aqua, resurrects Kairi in Remind, begins the efforts to save Roxas, saves Axel from Xion, and his kindness saves Xion herself. He rescues Aqua from the realm of darkness, he awakens Ventus, exorcises Xehanort from Terra's body, and comes to Mickey's rescue at the end of Remind. Kingdom Hearts 3 is about how Sora finally follows the connections that not so long ago had only pain to heal that pain. That effort is rewarded with this brilliant and beautiful sequence at the end of Remind. The Guardians of Light have fallen, each one exiled to a different world, all alone. But Sora, with the light given to him by King Mickey, uses that light to connect the worlds. This is visual storytelling. I love this visual metaphor of the value of connections that ends with Sora firing one last beam that connects all worlds, connecting all the fallen heroes who respond to Sora to open the final keyhole together. It's cinema.
Sora.
Guys! Kairi?
And, of course, in the final battle, Sora and Kairi use this connection to summon their friends one more time and deal the final hit on Xehanort. Xehanort is the opposite of Sora, always choosing loneliness even when he needed others. He chose to manipulate them to have them at his side. Sora has the Guardians of Light alongside him because he chose to love them and suffer for them, and in the end, that suffering had its reward. They've learned from one another, became stronger, and they're finally together. Once more,
My friends are my power!
and that's all, at least for now. You may have realized that besides this scene, I showed nothing of Dream Drop Distance. That was on purpose. On that game, Sora isn't deep. He's a fucking idiot 99% of the time. But besides that game, I think he's an underrated character. especially in Kingdom Hearts 1, where you really felt that he was a young teenager that grew as you played. See you next time.